What's going on YouTube? So about 3 months ago, we gave you guys an extensive first look at the all-new Cadillac Escalade. But now, the full production version is arriving at dealerships. And we're standing next to none other than the fully loaded Sport Platinum trim, which we're excited to review and drive today for the first time. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see if this $109,000 Escalade lives up to the hype. So first, getting started here with the exterior, you're gonna notice that this Escalade looks very different from that pre-production model that we looked at a few months ago. And that's because this is the new Sport model. So that's the first time a Sport trim level is being offered in the Escalade. And as you can see, it really makes things look distinctly different and distinctly more aggressive. So what you have up here in the front is going to be an exclusive black mesh grille, but it's also surrounded in a black trim. So if you go for a light color, that's going to give you a lot of contrast, or if you go for black like this model, it has this really cool stealth look. And as far as the headlights, those are another element that's a really big departure for this all-new Escalade, since we've now gone to a horizontal arrangement instead of the previous vertical arrangement. So these, of course, are going to be fully LED, and they also have a lot of cool details if you look real close to them, like little etching of the Cadillac emblem inside. Additionally, you've got that signature Cadillac vertical element still. This is going to be a daytime running light as well as your LED turn signal. The next really bold element of the Sport's exterior are these wheels, because they're very different from the other models. Now, every single version of the Escalade will of course have large 22-inch alloys, but as you can see, this has a dark contrast finish, which looks like no other Escalade we've ever seen before. And then jumping up here to your mirrors, obviously they're going to have all the features you can throw on them. So you've got power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring.
Now, before we get around to the rear design of this Escalade, I do have a few things to talk about here at the side. Now, of course, you probably already know the Escalade is available in this standard wheelbase configuration. It's also available in an ESV long wheelbase configuration. And as far as your design elements, the Sport is actually going to black out all of your features back here. So this piece would be chrome on the regular models or black with the Sport. Really gives it a cool, stealthy look. And then as far as your rear design for this Escalade, you're going to get pretty much the same treatment as the side. So you're going to black out all of the chrome elements that the normal model would have. So this piece right here, as well as your lower diffuser, is going to be blacked out. And your new trapezoidal exhaust pipes are also going to have a smoked finish as opposed to a chrome finish. Now, as far as your taillights, these are of course going to be upgraded for the all-new model since they are fully LED and they also have a really cool animation. Now, before we talk about these safety systems, I do want to point out a few things with the suspension. The Platinum models are going to come standard with an air suspension, which we will talk about later in the drive, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. Now, as far as your safety systems, the Platinum, of course, is going to come standard with the entire gamut, so that includes stuff like adaptive cruise control as well as forward emergency braking. That said, I'm sure you've probably heard about Cadillac's Super Cruise system. That is, of course, going to be available on this Escalade. However, it's not available right now. You will have to wait until about January to option that on. But anyway, guys, that concludes the really cool exterior design of this Sport Platinum Escalade. And I know there's a ton of luxury and really cool features on the inside. So let's go ahead and check that out. But before we do that, hit that subscribe button down below.
So obviously your flagship Cadillac is going to come standard with a smart entry system, as well as their newest key fob with real metal trim along the bottom edge and remote start. Now to get inside the new Escalade, this has the door handles that do not move, they're electronic. So there's actually a little pad behind it, and you'll just squeeze it, and then the door will open right up. But guys, check out the cabin in this Sport Platinum. Wow, wow, wow. Absolutely stunning, even more so than the premium luxury that we saw a few months ago. Now when you choose one of the Platinum models, this goes for both the premium luxury Platinum and the Sport Platinum, Cadillac pulls out all the stops and throws in a beautiful semi-aniline leather with a very unique quilted design here with little squares, as well as the color contrast piping and stitching. Now as far as your color options, we've got the black, but there is also a beige and an exclusive dark auburn color option. Now as far as the door trim, of course, it is beautifully appointed as well. You have leather all through here, and that beautiful color contrast piping right there. We do have an exclusive wood trim, and then you also have leather along the top part. Now over here you will see your seat climate control, so you have 3-stage heated seats which do separate the back and the butt, and then we also have 3-stage ventilation. And of course all 4 of your windows will be one-touch automatic, and your 2-person memory seating. Now coming over here to the seats, you will notice a lot of different controls, and that's because we have the 16-way power adjusting seats, which even include massaging abilities. And then like I was already mentioning, these seats are absolutely exquisite, super beautiful, amazing leather quality, and don't forget about those awesome AKG speakers built right into the headrest. Now since this model has the air suspension, it does lower when the vehicle's in park, so actually it's not that much of a step to get inside of the Escalade, and especially easy with these power deployment running boards. And we do also have soft closed doors, new to the Escalade for the first time. So now let's talk about those interior materials. Like I said, it's actually another step up from that premium luxury trim level we looked at earlier, and that itself was amazing. So across all of the dashboard, this is all going to be finished in a really nice feeling leather with color contrast stitching. We continue to have the leather trim that runs around the displays. Each of the different models come with different types of wood trim. This is kind of a high gloss walnut looking trim. Dropping down, more leather with more color contrast stitching through here, down through here, all the way to the floor actually. Basically anything you can see is covered in leather or wood. And obviously everything does fit together absolutely seamlessly. Now to start up the Escalade, just put your foot on the brake and press the button. So obviously once you start everything up here, the first thing that's going to get your attention is this gigantic 38-inch curved OLED display. In person, guys, this is extremely impressive looking, absolutely beautiful. One of the largest displays that you can get in the entire auto industry, and it is built off of basically 3 different displays. So your gauge cluster, this is going to be 14.6 inches of the total 38-inch display. This, of course, is fully customizable. And off to the side here, we have our 7-inch driver's display. And this is also where you can change which designs you want for your gauge cluster. So this is your typical gauge, or your regular gauge setup. If you click the map button, this will just change the entire thing into a map display. But most impressively, if we click the AR camera, this entire thing transforms into a live view of what's in front of your vehicle, and it is extremely, extremely high resolution. Very impressive. Of course, since it has augmented reality navigation, it will also pop up different directions and stuff and lay them right onto the display right in front of you, so it makes navigating extremely easy. Now on this fully loaded model, we also have the optional night vision camera system, but I won't be able to show that off to you guys since obviously it's not dark. However, I can show off this 15-inch head-up display. There's not a lot of information displayed up here right now, but it does display tons of information once you get going or if you start navigating. And you can control that as well over here in that 7-inch display. Alright, now let's come back to the steering wheel. Obviously, you will have a full power leather-wrapped steering wheel with the latest Cadillac design. You have the same wood trim as you find in other parts of the cabin. And if you choose the Platinum, one of the Platinum models, you will have the leather-covered airbag cover. You also have rain-sensing wipers, full power adjustment, as well as heating. And over here, you're going to find a few more buttons. This is for your trailer brake controller, your electronic parking brake. We also have our 4-wheel drive controls, our drive mode controller, and then our up and down for the air suspension. Okay, so let's check the storage next. So open up our center console here. You'll notice something looks a little bit different, and that's because this model here has the optional cool box. So this acts as a refrigerator when you turn it on. Very cool. Does take up a little bit of the space, however, but this is already such a big area that it's going to fit these coupons in there absolutely no problem. And it also illuminated along the edges, so that's really nice. Off to the side here, we have kind of a carpeting. We also have some USB ports. You have a place to stick your phone right down that slot, and then you can press on this piece of wood, and it will pop open to reveal 2 very large cup holders, another storage area, as well as 2 more USB ports. And then additionally, you've got storage along the sides of the console as well as in the door trims. Now, Cadillac's been able to keep a lot of storage in here, despite the fact that they have moved away from a column-mounted shifter and actually gone to a dash-mounted shifter. So this operates the same as in other Cadillac models. You're just going to pull back for drive. You can pull back again if you want to go into low, and we also have paddle shifters on board. For reverse, just go up in the opposite direction. And when you go up there, you're going to notice a really, really nice camera system. So this is a gigantic upgrade from the previous generation because you have a ton of different angles, really, really high resolution. And you can kind of go through different types of cycling here. There is also a way to get to a 360-degree camera system. So if you click this right here, you can now spin all the way around the vehicle, kind of like what we've seen from German automakers. A very cool effect. Then for park, just press the P on the top. Now behind the shifter, this is where you're going to find your Cadillac controller. The infotainment system is a touch display, but you can use this if you don't want to put fingerprints on it. And then we also have our volume knob. So this is a part a lot of you guys have probably been looking forward to because we have the industry first AKG sound system on board. And not just the standard one, we actually have the 36 speaker AKG premium reference sound system, since this is the Platinum model. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Wow, that's all I have to say is wow. Undoubtedly one of the finest audio systems I have ever had the privilege of hearing. Absolutely outstanding. Okay, so let's move up the dashboard a little bit more to our climate control system here. This is a very nice, clean, simple setup. So you have these physical metal toggles here, which you can just kind of toggle up and down. Has a really pleasant animation to it. Of course, it is 3-zone automatic across all of the trim levels. And then those seat controls, those are over on the door, which I already showed you guys. And then moving on up a little higher, this brings you to the main infotainment system. So this is the part of the display that's 16.9 inches. So it's one of the largest displays you can get in any type of vehicle on the auto industry right now. And it's just extremely impressive as far as the resolution is concerned. I think it is the highest resolution in any vehicle I have ever seen. So you'll notice that right now I am in the Android Auto system, and that's because I wanted to show off the fact that this has wireless Android Auto. So for proof, here's my phone, just want to hold this up here, and as you can see it is running wirelessly right here. Let's go ahead and hop into the main Cadillac Q infotainment system. Now, as you'll see, it's actually not very similar at all to the version in the other Cadillac models. It has a totally different interface where you have these kind of large tiles. This is your home display where you have your recently used apps, and then you can swipe over and you'll see you have all the rest of your applications, as well as kind of like a little star design back there in the background. Now, like many luxury vehicles, the infotainment system has a ton of features. I won't have time to show you everything inside of this video, but I will scroll over and show you guys a couple extra features here. I want to look at the ambient lighting system. Of course, you have tons and tons of different color selections that you can pick between. You can also link it to your drive mode, so everything will kind of change depending on what driving characteristics you tune it up to, and you can also change the brightness right down there. Now moving on up here, we have the rear camera mirror. So as you can see, it cuts out all the obstructions, which is very important for a large truck like this. And then up at the very top, this is where you'll find your HomeLink universal remotes, as well as the button to open up your panoramic sunroof. So for the first time, the Escalade is offered with the panoramic sunroof, and it goes all the way back past the second row headrest. Huge piece of glass. Front part does open up, of course. And while we're looking up here, you will notice we have the beautiful Alcantara headliner, as well as metal speaker grills way up here on the ceiling.
Sitting in the Escalade Sport Platinum's rear seat. It's kind of hard to feel more bougie than this. Pulling up in something like this, you automatically feel like you're a celebrity or something like that riding here in the rear. But let's go ahead and break down the features as well as the space, since Cadillac has really done a lot to improve this rear seat for 2021. Now, as far as your space is concerned, that's going to be arguably the biggest improvement, since you're going to have 42 inches of rear legroom, 39 inches of rear headroom, which is up significantly over the previous generation Escalade, and it is larger than the Lincoln Navigator. And behind rear seating position, I would have, I'd say, about 10 or 11 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can slide easily up under the seat. Now, as far as your features here in the middle, you're going to have pretty much everything standard. So you have your own climate controls back here. We also have standard heated rear seats. If we push this out, you have cup holders that pop out, and all of this is nicely leather wrapped on the Platinum model. Dropping down further, we have a USB Type-C, actually two USB Type-Cs, two HDMI ports, as well as a regular household style outlet. And then as far as the captain seating, that's of course going to be standard. And then coming over here, this particular model does have the optional 12.6-inch rear seat entertainment screens, which are very, very impressive. They have a super high resolution, and it's definitely one of the, hands down, one of the best rear seat entertainment systems offered in the business. Up top, we have metal speaker grills, as well as your vents. Now, the Escalade didn't stop improving in the second row. The third row is also vastly improved for this all-new model. So let's go ahead and check that out. In order to do that, just grab this lever once. That will fold the seat down, push it again, and it will release it and fold it right out of the way. And getting into the third row of this Escalade. Wow. This is just the standard wheelbase version, and just super, super impressed by the amount of space back here. So they did move to that independent rear suspension, which really, really helps out in your thigh support. As you can see, I'm almost as comfortable as I am in the second row, which is certainly something that couldn't be said about the previous generation model. Your legroom figures are going to be 35 inches, which is also increased. Definitely very comfortable. I also want to point out, on the Sport Platinum model, we do even keep the fancy and super elaborate semi-aniline leather design back here, which I think is a very luxurious touch. Off to the side, we have cup holders, USB Type-C, and we also have vents up top. And walking up to the tailgate, you're going to continue to have the rear glass that pops independent from the actual tailgate itself, and you are going to have a standard hands-free power one, so just wave your foot under the bumper and it will project an emblem right here, or on this new Escalade, you just push the Cadillac emblem and it will open right up. Now, as far as the space, this is another area we're going to see a huge improvement for this all-new model. It's going to come in at 25.5 cubic feet behind the third row seats. It expands to 63 cubic feet if you fold them, and then as a maximum, you have 109 cubic feet for this regular wheelbase model. The ESV will, of course, add to those figures. That is larger than the Lincoln Navigator if you're comparing it to that, so definitely a lot of space. Now, as far as the flooring, we do have a nice carpeting. If we lift up the floor, we have some underfloor storage, which is good for something like an umbrella. Off to the side, we have a regular household straw outlet, as well as our buttons to power fold the third row, and that is going to be standard across the Escalade lineup. Now here at your passenger seat, you're going to have every way of adjustment you could ever want, as well as the massaging abilities on this Platinum model. And in front, we do have a really nice leather wrapped glove box. On that Platinum, you're going to get the leather wrapping, and then if we open it up, there is a ton of space in here for coupons. You may think you're too good for coupons if you drive a $110,000 car, but that's how you save money to get another one if that's what you want. So I suggest using them, and there is plenty of space in here. It's nicely felt lined as well. And up top, we do have a nice sun visor. It's wrapped in that Alcantara. We have gently fading in LED lights, as well as a large mirror, and we can also detach and extend.
So before we head out onto the road, we just want to kind of go over some of the key specifications. So as you probably know, with this Escalade, you have the top tier V8 engine. So you got the 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, making 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, so really nice numbers. You also have the option of a diesel engine for the first time. That's a no-cost option, so you're just be able to choose between the two, and that's going to be a 3-liter turbo inline 6-cylinder with 277 horsepower and 466 pound-feet of torque. As far as your transmission, it's going to be a 10-speed automatic transmission. And you do have standard 4x2 and optional 4x4 across the entire lineup. And then finally, I'll talk about the fuel economy. So we only have numbers for the 6.2 liter because the diesel, like I said, will come out a little later on. That's going to be rated at 15 city, 20 highway, 17 combined for the 2-wheel drive, and then 16 combined if you go for 4-wheel drive, which is a little bit of a reduction from the fuel economy rating last year.
Nice.
Very good, very good. So obviously, like we already said, this is a 6.2 liter V8 and has lots and lots of power.
And really, the best thing about this V8 engine is going to just be that burly V8 sound compared to what you're going to get in the Lincoln Navigator with that twin-turbo V6. This is really just going to give you a much more traditional and rewarding experience when driving, and I think that's really important to a lot of people who buy in this segment, so definitely a benefit there.
So we're really excited to be behind the wheel of this Escalade. This is our first time driving it since the review we did previously was the pre-production model, so we weren't allowed to drive it, but this is the full production version. Now, there's a customer waiting to purchase this vehicle probably when we come back, so this is going to be a little bit shorter of a drive.
Yeah.
But we will still have plenty of time here to get a good sense of just how nice this Escalade is behind the wheel. And it really doesn't take long behind the wheel at all to realize there's a lot of substantial changes from that previous generation model.
Yeah.
So this road here, for instance, is kind of bumpy, and I think that really puts into play that air suspension, which we have equipped on this Sport Platinum. That air suspension was not available at all on any of the previous versions of the Escalade, so this is a brand new feature, and boy is it nice.
Wow. Yeah, the ride quality on this, oh my goodness. I could take a nap right now. And I think you really are going to be very impressed if you're even coming from a previous Escalade as to the improvements here. Right now I'm getting a back massage that's also included on that Platinum model, so this is really just the utmost of luxury that you can really expect out of any SUV, and I really think that it's even as good as some of the German rivals like the BMW X7.
Auto start stop, really, really impressively smooth, especially for a big V8. Power just comes on so nice and smooth.
And once we get up to cruising speed here, I will go ahead and get a sound level reading to just kind of give you guys some reference. We'll be going a little bit slower, probably around 45 miles per hour. Wow. 52 decibels. That is one of the lowest readings we've ever gotten. I think the Mercedes S-Class was like about the only thing that's gotten lower than that, and I believe it. Once you get behind the wheel of this Escalade, you're once again going to see the improvements for this all-new model. They really have just gone as upscale as they possibly can with this Escalade. It truly is a luxury vehicle through and through.
And noticeably quieter than the Tahoe.
Oh yeah. And that today is going to be today's slam dunk, is just the overall improvements they've made to this interior, the overall luxury experience you're going to get here. It's a huge improvement over the previous generation, and it really stands out in this segment.
Now, I'm not going to imply that this feels small behind the wheel, because it definitely doesn't. This is still really, really large SUV, but I do want to say that it feels smaller behind the wheel than the outgoing generation. I think the things that Cadillac has done with the steering and the suspension, the kind of control that you feel behind the wheel, it definitely seems lighter on its feet and more maneuverable than before, so I do appreciate that.
Now, if you were paying attention, we didn't mention the air ball, and that is quite hard to pinpoint in something as good as this Escalade. This Escalade is really a fantastic, especially now that they redesigned it, but we're going to say it's the price. I will talk about the pricing, but I hate to burst your bubble, this is pretty expensive if you want one. So for the luxury, that's going to start at $77,290, premium luxury $84,290, sport $86,890, but it really goes up when you get the platinum. So the premium luxury platinum as well as the sport platinum is going to be $101,290, and then four-wheel drive is going to be an additional $3,000 on top of that. Now this one has almost every option you can get besides for that Super Cruise system, plus the destination charge of $1295 brings this tester as equipped at $108,875. So just a touch under $110,000. And you can go higher if you go for the Super Cruise system, so this is not a cheap vehicle by any means, but you are getting a lot here.
So the first Escalade we sampled was very impressive, but it remained a mystery. Would it be as impressive behind the wheel as it was in all the other respects? And I think today really cements the fact that the answer is yes. It absolutely is as impressive behind the wheel as the outside and especially this new interior is in person. Sampling this Sport Platinum It really is an incredible overall package, and I think there's a good reason why these things are sold out for a long time.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching our second review of the all-new 2021 Cadillac Escalade, this time in the Sport Platinum trim level. We really appreciate you watching, and if you've made it this far in the video, don't lie to me. I know you enjoyed watching, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. All it's going to do is give you notifications on all of our most recent content, and trust me, we do have plenty of content on this Escalade. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.